ThatGreatBusinessShow.com is brought to you by De Facto Shaving Oil, the best anyone can get. Made in Ireland, sold worldwide.
Welcome to ThatGreatBusinessShow.com, episode 11, first broadcast on Friday the 4th of December. Sit back now and relax as here comes your 1 hour plus of business positivity, insights, hacks and a bit of fun. We're bringing Ireland's biggest car showroom into studio, and no, it's not one of the obvious big names, it is something new. From Mayo, we bring you Rubbish, or a man whose great business is dedicated to ridding the world of rubbish. From Cork, AI gurus Altada want to give other AI software companies a €250,000 kickstart. And from Wicklow, a souvenir maker who pivoted to coffee. Whiskey coffee, of course. Yes, we always say it because we always do it. We do business differently. And that we is me, Conal Moran, and my co-host and sidekick, my own in-house number 8, former pro rugby player, entrepreneur, investor, podcaster, as well as being the best thing on Irish rugby TV coverage at the moment, Jamie Heaslip. So let's go, Jamie, with our weekly Jamie's Words of Wisdom.
I robbed a wise man's phrase today. I always rob them, never mind. If you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got.
Let me guess, Albert Einstein.
Yes.
Do you know why?
Winner, chicken dinner.
You put that up yesterday as well.
Put up this morning.
And yesterday.
I don't think it was yesterday.
Well, I saw it this morning as well, but there you go. I follow him a bit too closely.
Yesterday was problem talk creates problems, solution talk creates solutions.
If you want more of this, at Jamie Heaslip on his Twitter account. And it's posted at 6 a.m. just before he goes for a run. Because I'm looking at the window just to see that it is.
Not a chance, you're
Now, our first guest on That Great Business Show ticks all our favourite boxes.
Can I do this intro here?
Yeah, do you want to read it?
I'll read it, but I'll ad-lib it, right? Our first guest on The Great Business Show takes all of my favourite boxes, right? Selling souvenirs in the family souvenir business, and then decided to make some coffee, but not just an ordinary coffee, right? So he says he liked coffee so much because as an international cyclist, he had to abstain from the demon drink. No good in my pubs. So took to the beans instead. He persuaded his architect wife, Catherine, to become his head roaster. And so the Wicklow-based Brady's Coffee Company was born. No messing with the name, Brady's Coffee, because founder is Craig Brady. And so his name literally hangs over the door. Something entrepreneurs like on the good days. Not so much on the bad days. But before we get into the famous pivot, which I'm so jealous about, I just need to say coffee and whiskey. If you put rugby and pizza in there as well, you've got the dream mix in my eyes. How did you make the pivot? And how did you go from souvenirs to bringing two of my favourite things together?
It came about from the souvenir company was my work, but coffee was my passion. And I'm going to put it down to actually a midlife crisis. I turned 40 and I went, if I don't do something now, I'm never going to do it. So in 2017, we looked at the market. Starting a coffee roasting company and going knocking on doors, it's a really tough task. You know, there's so many of us out there now. So I looked at the market and I saw a gap within the souvenir industry. So a market that I knew. So we created a product that fitted really well into the souvenir market, the confectionery market, which is a huge part of it. If you go into any souvenir shop, you'll see the confectionery part is one of the biggest, with teas and chocolates and all that type of stuff. So I was confident in my roasting. I knew I could roast well. So we worked for about 12 months on a brand and a design. And we released it in 2017 at Showcase Ireland, actually. Oddly enough, released for a coffee company, but that's what we did. And it instantly worked. And like you, I'm a big whiskey guy. I love my whiskies. So the whiskey coffee combination is an absolute classic. So myself and my brother actually decided to look at combining the two, and that's where the barrel aging came up.
And nobody else is doing it?
No one else is doing it,
I didn't realise that you can get whiskey barrels all around the world, but it's very, very hard, unless you're in Ireland, and even in Ireland it's not that easy, to get Irish whiskey barrels. Why is that?
The distilleries are quite possessive about what happens to their barrels after they're finished with them.
What normally happens?
What normally happens is they're sold off to maybe, different alcohol companies around the world who want it, but they really have to know what's happening with the end barrel. In Ireland, a lot of them are sold on and they're used for outside pubs, all the barrels outside pubs and things like that. So, people just put port into them afterwards. And all these different drinks and Bacardis and all these different things. So people looking to add flavour into their beers.
Just like the way whiskey does it with other types of barrels.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the barrels we have, some of them are 20 years old, and you can see all the history on them, where they've been out in the Caribbean and all this type of stuff. So by the time we get them, the last thing they've had is Irish whiskey in them. And
you told me that some of these barrels, they actually have a couple of litres of whiskey at the bottom.
So, yeah. So when we get a delivery in, the first thing we do is shake them. And then the battle begins.
Which are glass beside you. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, we do. So because the barrels are literally emptied and they're corked back up and they're shipped out, and then we get them. And another couple of litres comes out of the oak, the wood. So it's a very potent... Now, you don't know actually what you're drinking. Not that's
strap yourself in, guys.
Yeah. It's always tentative to see the first sip, and it's 70% proof. So we now...
hair in your chest.
We now have a process where we filter it out of the barrels. And one of our products is actually a whiskey bottle full of coffee beans. So we use those whiskey bottles and we fill it up with the whiskey. We filter it through. We add a little bit of water. Happy days. Could be drinking one of the best whiskies in the world for all I know. But so it's one of the bonuses.
Now, just to be clear, the beans are smelling the air. They're not actually they're swimming in the whiskey.
No. So look, it took us a year to develop this process. I did everything wrong at the start. Just, not knowing wet barrels, reusing barrels, reseasoning barrels, all these things. So we now have a process where we get the barrels and we assess them through smell and visual. And we know now, just through looking at them, smelling them, at what point they're at.
It's amazing how humans just...
Yeah.
You would, if I went back, as you just said, a year ago, you wouldn't have no clue about that.
No, I just went, the stronger the better the smell. That's it, and throw the coffee in. And we had a lot of mouldy coffee at the start, if I'm honest, from too much moisture and things like that. So, and the barrel has to be at a point where it's lost enough of the moisture that it's verging on dry, but there's still a really strong aroma in it. And it's the aroma and a small bit of liquid. So by the time the coffee beans come out, they look completely different than when they went in. They've probably very slightly germinated, so the coffee's even slightly softer, higher moisture content. So it's really difficult to roast right once you take it out. But Catherine...
Yeah, it's going to be quite difficult, yeah.
It's really difficult. So, and everything, they're all different. Every coffee is different. Every barrel is different. So
if I go looking for your coffee with the whiskey in it, I'm not sure that I'm going to have the same one twice.
You more or less will now, because we can now blend the barrels. So you've got great barrels and some barrels that aren't so good, really strong barrels. Because do
you blend? So are you blending the beans? Are the beans all from the one source?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're blending between barrels, and then we blend beans in that are not aged in whiskey barrels as well, just to give the because it'll blow your head off straight out of the barrel. It will absolutely blow your head off. Some of it, it's like drinking whiskey. If you don't blend it down, we wanted it to be a coffee product that has a whiskey flavour.
Yeah.
Not the other way around.
Is there a business in it?
Yes. So our biggest customer was Dublin Airport.
Well, there was a business in it.
There was a business in it, and our customer base was completely based around the souvenir trade within that product. And since this happened, the lockdown happened on March, start of our
March
season.
17. Yeah.
March 17. So we pivoted and we went out and got some really good photography done. We got our story out there. People didn't fully understand what this was. And we targeted the domestic market, and we've had brilliant sales. It's really rocketed in the domestic market.
And how are you doing that? Online?
Online, we've a retail website, coffeeshop.ie. That's our retail website.
Good name to have, yeah.
Yeah, I just started that was one of my attempts to get into the coffee industry, and it didn't satisfy my itch. Retail coffee, we sell coffee equipment. And now with the roasting company, it all ties together really well. So all of our coffees are available in that.
So you're not supplying, I'm sure you are supplying souvenir type shops, but there's not a whole lot going on with them, seeing the tourism is gone. So your direct consumer way now is purely through your store?
Online store, online advertising, and actually hamper companies have been a godsend this year. I think everyone in Ireland is getting a hamper, from what I can tell. It's just
Gifting's
unreal.
Yeah, rocketed.
It's unbelievable.
And the Americans, you told me, are buying. And you have a little twist there, because I asked you when we were on the phone whether you were doing the subscription model, and you said no, doesn't work with the Americans.
No, because the way shipping stuff to America is expensive.
Yeah.
So I tend to get orders for 8, 9, 10 bags at a time from America. From, so people they buy up for a few months. So what I wanted with our coffee was, people see it. It's a beautiful bag. And people probably expect a bit of a souvenir, gifty item, but they're surprised when they drink it. And you go onto Amazon, any of those guys, you'll see we're 5 stars for reviews on our products. So they're pleasantly surprised with the quality that they get out of it. And they come straight on to us and start ordering. They've ordered direct. So we have a big retail around the world. Australia, lots of parts of Europe, Northern Europe actually is a big one.
You do have a big problem, though, just trying to get that name out. Like, you are competing with lots and lots.
But it's like, isn't it like kind of, so if you took whiskey on its own, big trend. If you're starting a whiskey company now, you're a bit behind the 8 ball on that one.
Yeah.
And coffee as well. Like you said, even in 2017, there was a lot of different roasters just in Ireland alone.
Yeah.
Is this like the sweet spot where there isn't too much competition of blending the two of them, or are you still going up against other coffee suppliers, really?
No, I think we're in a sweet spot with the product. And part of that is because it's a really difficult product to produce. There's a romance behind coffee roasting and that type of business, but it's a physical, tough business, especially when you're dealing with barrels, and a barrel with coffee in it can weigh over 100 kilos, and you have 50 barrels. And we have a guy who works for us, and I shouldn't say this because in the background we call him Donkey Kong because he rolls barrels all day up and down the warehouse because they have to be rolled every day.
Call HR. Call
yeah. He's a very good worker. Lovely, don't quit. So yeah, it's to replicate what we do, you can do it, but it's a very tough model, and even the physical space. We've quite a very large roastery for the amount of coffee we roast. In a way.
How many tons are you doing a week?
We're doing about a ton a week.
A ton a week?
Yeah. So we're small. We're a small company. So
it's still a substantial amount. It's still a good amount.
A ton sounds like a lot to me.
Yeah.
How many cups of coffee?
When you think about it, you're not necessarily supplying a load of shops.
Yeah.
Like, you're going direct to consumer. That's pretty. You're doing well. Really well.
A ton in the coffee world is very little.
Oh, okay.
It's micro roaster level.
So when will you go to macro roaster level?
Well, we've a new product coming that we hope will launch us into the stratosphere.
You better tell us about it.
So we're all about innovation within coffee.
Yeah.
We're not, I find, like we roast coffee for cafes. We supply some great cafes. Mooch downstairs, one of our customers. So, we've set up a brewery within the coffee roastery. We're going to produce cold brew coffee in a can.
So I've seen this. I haven't seen it in Ireland, sorry, but I've seen it abroad. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've just finished the FoodWorks Food Accelerator program.
Yes.
Run by Chagas Board B and Enterprise Ireland. Literally finished last week.
Enterprise Ireland again.
And the Leos have been very good to you as well.
The Leos have been unbelievable.
Wicklow Leo.
Yeah, all of this started with just a casual meeting with our Wicklow Leo, and they guided us in the right direction. But so we're going to roast, grind, brew, and then we have this filtration system on the coffee. So what you end up with as a coffee base is cold brew coffee is
beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's coffee brewed cold. And
so you just haven't had it right.
I don't want it. It's like cold tea.
No,
thank you.
it's not.
Oh,
so
beautiful.
cold coffee is disgusting. Hot coffee that goes cold is disgusting. When you brew coffee from cold, it's a totally different thing.
Okay.
You could drink a pint of it. And then we're adding a citrus element into it and carbonating it. And it's going into a can.
Okay,
so
you really do work on your palate. There's a lot of palate work.
Oh yeah, so what we want is, it's a coffee-based drink, but it's meant to be a refreshing experience. It's totally natural. No added anything. There's a small bit of sweetener added, a little bit, tiny bit, 30 calories maybe, or less per can. And it's about the refreshing experience with a caffeine hit. So we've worked on that for 18 months.
Why do you think cold brew hasn't landed as strongly here in Ireland? Because we're a coffee mad market. We're a good market for coffee, right?
Yeah.
compared to you go over to the States, you know, you have all sorts of cold brews around the place. Did
you ever look out the window? It's bloody cold most of the time. Who wants cold anything?
In the summertime.
Cold. Or not hot.
Well, we put
People
out...
still have the 99 count. Like that was the way. If that was your measuring stick, you wouldn't have 99 counts. But we love 99 counts.
That's true.
With sprinkles.
We did a version of it, cold brew on tap, where we infused nitrogen through it.
Oh yeah.
And we put it out.
Look, your nitro coffee. I love it.
We put it out to a few
places. The door here for a second. You two can have a bro meeting.
Well, it's just the thing about it is the cold coffee drink is more summer drink, but it's also a drink that sells throughout the winter. Like if you go to any cafe now, they'll still be selling their iced coffees. Absolutely, still selling their iced coffees. Not as many, but people come in to get their iced coffee with their cream and everything in it. So people still drink them in the winter.
When you come back in a year's time, what will Brady's Coffee be doing?
So we're launching in March on this product.
Great.
Maybe a bit earlier, but we're nearly ready. We are ready as such. I have a few refinements to do, and we're actually slightly rebranding just on feedback from the FoodWorks course. I would like to think that by this time next year, we will be nationwide with this product. We went through Food Academy on it, and we were accepted into Super Value. Yeah, into 10 Super Values as an initial thing. So that's there to go in the background.
This is for the
cold brew.
For the cold brew, do you see cold brew matching or getting close to the volume that you're doing on your whiskey coffee?
I see cold brew absolutely outstripping it. I see it becoming our main business.
Are these the dreams of the entrepreneur, or have you been through the ringer enough times to say, you know, it might work, but then again, might not?
Well, at the start, it was a dream. And I'm a type of guy who decides to do something and I just do it. And, you know, ignorance is actually bliss. I'm sorry, it is because if I knew what was ahead of me, I wouldn't have done it. That's the truth. I would not have even started.
Every entrepreneur. I mean, if you knew as much as you do afterwards, you'd say no thanks.
Actually, just on that, right? So you think of coffee and people automatically go, oh, great margin in it. And there is good margin in it, right? Mm-hmm. And then you add in the complexities of the whiskey and that, right? So that's adding a layer to it. Is the margin the same with cold brew when you're bringing nitrogen in and there's a bit more processing to it?
Well, with in a can, at the moment, we are proof of concept level. Now, we have our own canning line. We brew everything ourselves. And it would be hard to make money at the level that we're at. But it's proof of concept. And once I prove the concept, once I prove the sales, you have to step it up in the drinks industry. You have to become big.
So final question on that. Do you need money?
Yes.
So what could Team GBS...
This is going better than I thought.
The listeners, Team GBS, they have been known to, stump up sometimes, and they might like what they hear. So how much do you need? And if they like what they hear, where will they find you?
So we will be looking for about 150 grand, which we are going to match ourselves. That's the cost of building a proper brewing setup for this type of thing and everything else involved. Look, if I can be got through bradyscoffee.ie or coffeeshop.ie or, just Google Brady's Coffee and
if there's money involved, you get on your bike and cycle to them and do
it. Absolutely. I'll come running down the road screaming at them.
That is Craig Brady. And Craig, when you come back to us, you will by then have launched all of these new products and hopefully you're just going to go zoom through
Absolutely. I'll keep you updated.
Great. Thanks so much, Craig.
Okay.
Thanks,
thank
Craig.
you. Great. Thanks.
It's all go like Cursey Gno on thatgreatbusinessshow.com. That Great Business Show. Thatgreatbusinessshow.com is brought to you by De Facto Shaving Oil. The best anyone can get. Made in Ireland, sold worldwide.
Jamie, I presume you've sold off heaps of old rugby gear on Dundee, and when you were writing that description, I bet you were really chucking around like barely used. Well, that's the kind of stuff you do. Have you sold anything on Dundee ever?
I can't say I've bought stuff on Dundee.
Yeah.
I don't think I've sold anything on Dundee. I know rugby players who have sold stuff on Dundee.
Because it might come in hand as in unused.
I know one very well-known rugby player who was moving house and sold a lot of his old furniture on Dundee.
Furniture?
Yeah.
You don't play in furniture, do you?
No, but he slept on it or he sat on it or I don't know what else he did on it.
Well, anyway, Dundeel is going big into cars, and they've plucked Elaine Doyle from Google, where she was promoting YouTube until 3 months ago. But now she's with Distilled Media, that owns Daft.ie and Dundeel. And Elaine wants the world to know that, as they put it, that when it comes to cars, when scaled for Ireland, that's their term, that Dundeel is now as big as Auto Trader is in the UK. And that's why Elaine Doyle has joined Team GBS today to tell us about this and more. Elaine, very welcome to That Great Business Show.
Thank you.
You've gone huge in cars.
Huge in cars.
Why?
I think a couple of things. I think focus within the business. So I think for anyone who's ever met the Fallon brothers, they are massively passionate about making things better for Irish customers. And one of the things that we're really focused on is trying to make car buying brilliant. It's just one of those challenges that everybody has. You buy a car a couple of times in your life. And in order to make it better, we've partnered with a lot of dealers in Ireland. So about 95% of Irish car dealerships are actually on Dundeel now.
Is that a function of COVID? Because they weren't online and then suddenly they needed to be online, and then Dundeel wisely, you guys came in and said, we can do that for you.
Yeah. I mean, it was a part of, it's been, I suppose over the last couple of years, they've been slowly coming on, you know, as one dealer sees results for their business, they tell another. But back obviously in March, we had dealers suddenly not able to do business. And so we became, I suppose, their partners in bringing them on. And it solves our mission in that we want customers to feel really confident about the cars that they buy. And, you know, car dealerships can do that for customers. They have warranties, they have, you know, all of the finance options, everything that's going to reassure you. So it made sense for us. It's kind of a win-win situation.
Did you see any interesting kind of insights or trends, Elaine, off like over the last, whatever it is, 9 months now? I've lost track of all time this year, basically. But since COVID, have you seen kind of what are the interesting insights you've seen in terms of cars and Dundeel and the transactions, buying, selling, everything in between? Yeah.
Finance options are a really big thing. And that's one of the reasons why, I suppose it's actually tomorrow, I think we're launching it, is a new finance calculator and end-to-end payment solution. It's actually, we're trying to claim it's a world first, but my boss won't allow me because I can't verify it completely, but I still can't find somebody to disprove it.
We'll say it, put a little star beside it, right?
Yeah.
And what's so unique about that?
So it's end-to-end, completely contactless on new cars. So we've teamed up with Bank of Ireland, essentially. And what you can do is kind of from the comfort of your own home, go on, apply for your finance, and then within 24 hours, be approved, select your car, and get it delivered if you want.
Well, but hang on a second now. If I want, and I'm old school.
You're very old.
And if I want to buy a car, I'll go down to the dealer.
Yeah.
And
You can't now. Well, maybe
you can today.
Yeah. Today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let us say that I can walk in, she is going to chat to me. I'm going to sit in the car. Can't do that online. Mm-hmm. And she is also going to tell me, what can you afford? And work it out for me. So what's the big attraction of? So
the big attraction, I guess, is that it gives more, it's kind of like bringing all of the convenience for the customer. So dealers, we're not in the business of wiping out dealers, right? So it's a case of this is something that they can actually use in order to be able to better service their customers at times that suit them. So for example, even using your example, some of our customers will go down to the dealership, love their car, go home, be thinking about it. And then they are, like we did some research whereby it showed that people, one of their biggest fears is that the car that they've fallen in love with after their journey, researching for their car, all of that will just be snapped up by somebody else. And so this allows, the dealer to kind of say, look, when you're happy and comfortable to buy it, hit the button on Dundeel, I'll take it off the market. And so it helps that kind of piece. We enable Stripe payments on our car dealers. Of course, the Monday before Black Friday, so we spent the 5 days putting 600 cars with click and collect on Dundeel. So,
did it work?
Yeah. So we have We haven't had anybody buy a car in full, not yet. But dealers are really comfortable with doing the calls online, especially for like if it's your second time buying a car, third. Maybe there's a dealer you love doing business with, and you can just do it all online via Done Deal.
I reckon it's a change in habit. I think more and more people, it won't be long before you see someone do start to end buy the car. Because to take someone, if you're a car enthusiast and you know all about the car and you're kind of, you know what you want.
Which I am.
Yeah. So you don't necessarily need to see the car.
Do you need to? Would you do a virtual call? Like a lot of our dealers are doing virtual calls at the moment.
I shouldn't admit to this, but every day I tweet about cars and I put stuff up about cars and I look at cars.
You're going to love our new blog.
Today I was on the UK auction sites about. No, I don't buy them. I'm just looking.
You just love them.
Absolutely.
You have to. Will you look at their blog and tell me what you think of it?
I would, of course. But that's why I'm just thinking about, it's different for me maybe. It's just I want to sit in the car, certainly. And I have to hear that.
What you're saying to me is that you can if you love that car, you can get your deposit down on it and kind of lock it in, essentially.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, well,
at a time that suits you.
Okay, yeah. Is there anything, and I don't know, because I haven't chatted to you about this, with the is this in response to the amount of cars that are being bought from the UK into Ireland? Like
no.
If I were looking for a second-hand car, I would certainly look at the UK dealers myself because there's value there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I understand what you mean. I suppose one of the things is that online opens up markets, doesn't it? So it's kind of like you can go on, and if you're going to be using Click and Collect in Ireland, you might as well use it somewhere else. There's always trade-offs. Like, some people want to support their local car dealers. We want to support our local car dealers. And so there'll always be an element of consumer choice in that and kind of where they want to spend their money.
I did say that you've got a big background in YouTube.
Yeah.
And I presume YouTube is going to be brought to bear on these cars and their demos and all the rest.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
How did you guess? Yes.
There's another guy, and I think I did say this too. There's a guy in America called Doug DeMuro. He is bloody brilliant about cars. And it's not that I would. I do spend hours. You look at old matches, I look at old cars. And he's just sticks it up. 45 minutes, I could easily look at one car.
Go away.
That's sad.
You're not. And it's
will
funny.
You do the same with Done Deal and the cars?
So we have there's been a YouTube channel actually established by somebody before me, so that was great. I didn't have to start from scratch by any means, but we certainly have a big role to play in terms of providing those kind of reviews for people who love cars like yourself, but also people like me who very openly don't know a whole lot about cars, buying them, what I should be asking, and all of that. So we're teaming up with lots of people who know a lot better than I should say I am. The guys I work with would kill me. They're amazing. But for the likes of me, I suppose we started kind of building out a blog, and I know blog sounds so 1960 whatever, but essentially it's content that's going to help somebody like me. So all of the questions that I have, what's the difference between bloody well, like even finance, like what's the difference between PCP and hire purchase, or what's the difference between this kind of a car and a different one? Like I don't know. So we're hoping to help people with those kind of questions.
Done Deal is in business. Where's the money for Done Deal in this? Where do you get your turn?
Yeah. So we get our turn from partnerships, basically. So we partner with dealers where they kind of pay a subscription, and for that they get they can have all of their stock on Done Deal. We've loads of features like the Click and Collect stuff. We do their websites, everything that we can do. And even they suggest things. We're like, okay, we'll do that. We're a real, and I know everyone says, oh, we're a real partner. But after just recently over the last couple of weeks, talking to the team just about, because obviously everyone's had a really busy year. We're all tired, all of that kind of stuff. And so I was asking, like, what are the things that kept you going through all of this? I'm sure they love me asking as they were trying to integrate Stripe. But anyway, they were saying about how it was support, like they can see the sort of whites of the eyes of the dealers that we support and the customers who are happy. And that's a real cheesy thing to say, but it's a real thing.
It makes sense though. Like Elaine, you're empowering. We love Irish businesses here, especially Irish SMEs, and you're empowering people through one of the toughest, if not the toughest, time in Irish business. But also, like, okay, I don't know how many vaccines there is now, but there's a lot of vaccines coming. There's a lot of good news coming, right? And we can see the end. But you've opened up a brand new channel, revenue channel potentially for these people, and opened up their market. So it's a real true partnership in my eyes.
And I did ask you this on the phone. Can you bring this abroad?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the thing, and this is why, so when I left YouTube, I could have gone and worked in sort of any country or, that was the piece. I could have gone within Google or YouTube. That's kind of the beauty of those companies. One thing that I had loved was, and Jamie will know this from working on the team in Google, is how passionate when we worked in the Irish market we all were about Ireland. And so from a progression point of view, I thought, what, I'd love to bring an Irish brand forward, commercially and all of the from a brand point of view, but also do something really meaningful in the Irish market, and it's certainly the place to do that.
You've looked at others and other markets on positive. You must have seen what are others doing.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything bigger, better, brighter with Done Deal than has been done France, Germany, wherever?
Yeah, so our finance solutions is definitely something, although I'm always like, that's kind of boring. Is there anything else? But it is like,
it's one of these great things that is so, when you say it, you're like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. And then you're like, yeah, no one else doing it. You're like,
yeah.
Why not? It sounds boring, but it's actually really influential, I would imagine, in the kind of decision tree of getting that deal over the line.
Exactly. It definitely speeds things up. It speeds things up for the customer, and I think it speeds things up for the dealer, and that's essentially what we're.
Could you roll that out outside of just cars?
We could. We have a massive, I say kind of like anything with an engine, like we have a massive plant and machinery business as well. So that's kind of growing, and we're getting a lot of questions about can they get Stripe enabled and all of these other finance options. So hopefully, I think people are asking questions that they mightn't have asked for before COVID, and so we love to get that kind of right before we roll it out to everybody. So we're always testing in the background. We have lots of innovation partners. We recently did a campaign with kind of Curie's Motor Group in Cork. We're going to be doing some with Spirit and Motor Group and Blackwater Motors after Christmas. And
they're all quality names.
Yeah.
And we all know in the motor trade there can be, I believe, I've heard, dodgy dealers. How do you deal with dodgy dealers?
Gosh, if there's one thing that keeps us up at night, it's bloody well dodgy dealers. But let me put you that. I when I first started, I was really worried about that side of things, because I was like, God, we're trying to do all of this, but even if I'm worried about it, what does that mean for anybody else? The first thing I suppose I was being reassured that, like, right now on Dundee we have 75,000 cars, and actually 54,000 of those are from trusted dealers. So there's less, private people out there that you might think. But we also set up a system called Green Light Verified, which actually I think is one of our unspoken heroes. But anyway, it's you can verify that you own the car and that it's yours to sell.
That's useful.
That's useful.
I would find that useful.
Would you find that useful?
Oh, yeah.
And,
because so-called dodgy dealer, they're very good at actually trying to conceal.
Yeah.
And all the other write-offs and etc.
Yeah, they're good at it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the other piece around when you look at cars on Dundee and they have the Green Light Verified tick is when you click in, it gives you kind of a free upfront basic history report. So it says, like, this car hasn't been crashed. It hasn't been this. The things that you need, because there's a lot of value in private sales as well, and they have their place. So, a lot of the time our dealers are buying from private, so they're sourcing stock for trade-in or any of that kind of stuff. So it's a circle. It's a total ecosystem.
So tell me this, Elaine. So they were able to pull you away from the lure of G4, of Google Docs.
Yeah.
what was the dream they sold to you that pulled you away? Where do you see it in a year's time?
Love that question.
Such a good Jamie.
What? I don't know half time if you're taking the mick out of me.
I love that
I'm
one.
kind of looking quite.
No. I want to hear the answer.
Because they have a high retention rate in the company.
It's a bloody good company.
And it's a very good
YouTube.
company. Yeah, well, YouTube, Google.
Yeah, they do, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, they don't. And
so what was the dream?
What's the lure?
So actually, Connor Jones, who's our director in Google, asked me that question as well, because he was like, what
So
are
myself
you
and Connor are the same. Is that what we're saying? Can we just get that in the record?
Exactly. And my essentially it's an iconic brand, and I think that they are focused on building out a really interesting business that adds value for everybody at every point, for the customer and for themselves. And that's the kind of business that's really fascinating to me.
Sounds like a good deal.
Yeah.
Done deal.
Oh,
well done.
Ian, I have to tell you, he slags me about my dad jokes. Did you hear the one about the three-legged dog going into the bar? Goes up to the barman and says, I'm looking for the man who shot my paw.
Oh, get out. Just leave. Just leave. And he sends me all
Alison
these
loves it.
He sends me all these
Alison loves it.
on WhatsApp embarrassing gifs. I've never seen a dad like you use so many gifs.
My kids taught me. I have to.
Gifs are brilliant.
Yes,
Like, why talk when you can gif? Love it.
Anyways, that was Elaine Doyle there of Done Deal. Thank you very much, Elaine, for joining us on
you
that
so much.
Great Business Show.
Thanks, Lane.
Thanks for having me.
Subscribe today to That Great Business Show on your favourite podcast platform, including Apple and Spotify.
The huge news this week, of course, is that there is a string of vaccines now available for COVID-19. A breakthrough that has been rightly been described as an incredible win for science. The search for that vaccine was shortened from decades to less than a year because of access to artificial intelligence, or AI. AI can take vast amounts of data and break it up, parse it, analyze it, and deliver intelligent results in jig time. As well as its use in scientific research, AI is also being used for anything from searching hundreds of thousands of pages of legal documentation to writing sports reports in your newspaper. Niamh Parker is co-founder with her husband Alan of Cork-based Altada, an AI company that curiously wants to encourage other AI companies and have put €250,000 of their money on the line to support one of those companies. Welcome to That Great Business Show, Niamh, and we'll get to the competition shortly. But first, let's chat about day-to-day AI. Back in the day, AI was artificial insemination. I know you've heard that. Nowadays, it means artificial intelligence. Where do I feel artificial intelligence?
I think, guys, the first example in everyday use is Netflix. So it was at the stage where Netflix was giving us lots of choices, and now it's automatically playing the next big series, and it's matching. I guess there's a really rich recommendation engine that they have opened up now to open source, so people are building AI recommendation engines on that. I suppose for me, if you like Cartel, then at the moment everything from Queen of the South to Ozark, is playing for me on Netflix. It's a really good example.
What does that say about you now?
But it's everywhere.
You didn't suggest other things.
Mine's completely messed up. It was funny because when I was reading through the notes for this, obviously Spotify have come out with, they're looking back over all the songs that you've played, your playlist for the year. The way it recommends different playlists as well. I've completely screwed. My top 5 are I think it was Jingle Bells, one of another nursery song, then Drake, then another nursery song, and then some other piece of hip hop.
There's a 2-year-old involved here.
Yes, and same with Netflix. It's all over the place. But that machine learning, because when I think of AI, when a lot of people think of AI, they think of The Matrix, they think of Stanley Kubrick's Space Odyssey, and they think of machines taking over. Now, you give the layman's realistic what machine learning AI really is.
So I suppose for us in Altada, we've got very complex data sets and companies that have to solve big challenges, guys, that require to drive efficiencies in their companies. So that requires like how do you grow an international rugby player? Okay, you need the right conditions. You need nutrition. You need the right personality. You need the right attitude. Similarly to building an AI model, you need the right conditions. So it's not about, being a silver bullet machine learning or AI. It's the adoption of AI. It's building it into your, your innovation, into your strategy as to how you can drive efficiencies in your organization. And it starts with data sets. And it starts with people in the industry like buying into it. We're going to use AI because it's going to solve this challenge. And Colin, you mentioned an example, reading documents and legal abstraction, and there's lots of examples. And we work with specific use cases like that. But for the everyday person thinking that AI is like full of bias and it's taking over and, AI is going to replace all the jobs, it's not true. I've been hearing the bias argument now for the last 5 years, and it's like rubbish in, rubbish out. It depends on the data sets you're using and how you innovate within your own organisation.
They have removed or replaced match reporters, as in football matches. That's all just chucked out nowadays.
Absolutely. And also they can, determine and predict the outcome of legal litigation based on lots of certain, previous case law, which of course is logical, right? Why would you have somebody sitting down, carrying out a due diligence process for an M&A, big, huge merger and acquisition going back to 1920, like we did for one of our clients, when the machine can learn it and pull out where there's no signatures, where there's everything missing. Similarly, when you're doing loan review and abstraction of loan documents, use the machine to do it. There's less error. Just train it how to do it.
So what is Altada doing?
So we've got, we're very lucky. This year has been incredible growth for us. This is not the, Altada show for, Altada, because we're here to tell you about our great news with Tangent and Trinity College, which we're really proud to be partnering with them guys to bring out a brand new dedicated AI accelerator called the Alcessor. And the Alcessor means that we would become the expert evidence witness to your AI. So it's to really prove and validate that we can take your AI from a minimal viable product, from a proof of concept into an actual functioning and a scaling AI.
What about companies that are a bit further down the road from, let's say, startup, proof of case kind of concept area, like
helping them scale out. We're not just looking for like the idea stage, but again, with an accelerator, we're also looking for incredible founders and people that have, I suppose, the resilience to see it through, because the startups, as we know, you need to be really resilient and resourceful and really ambitious as well. So it's a combination of amazing founders, great ideas, and again, just the Alcessor in the old legal terms, guys, is to survey and verify and to prove. And that will give the investors confidence that this AI is not vaporware, that it has the potential to scale and to get more and more accurate and learn and drive efficiencies for that use case. And, some of the applications that are coming in are like, some of them are COVID related. There's InsurTech. There's doing applications from TikTok to styling, using AI to see what's your correct size for clothes that you should buy from, all different disciplines and industries as well. So that's very exciting.
And I presume your own analysis will tell you how many of these companies are there in the country at the moment?
I think that, like Ken Finnegan, the CEO of Tangent, started this journey, guys, about 4 years ago when he started the AI for Ireland, the island of Ireland. And then they started to put together all of the academic boards to do a dedicated master's in artificial intelligence, which has had 95% retention rate, and it's gone from strength to strength. And we weren't leaning on the multinationals to do that because we put it in ourselves so that we could then get the grassroots of AI into the SME sector. And Alan, my co-founder and husband, was really passionate about this. And at one stage, somebody threw a cup at him in one of the debates about whether this should be a multinational type of engagement or offering. And, they've kept it to the fact that it's for the SME industry. And even actually one of our sponsors, Granite Digital, have one of their guys on the master's programs now doing like amazing things around marketing and AI and stuff like that. So, that's why it's been a huge success. So then having Ken as a huge champion for artificial intelligence and Alan just crazy enough to come up with all these amazing ideas, the dedicated AI accelerator was born, and it's called the Alcessor.
And the two of you, Alan and yourself, are putting €250,000 behind this. That's an awful lot of money.
Our sponsors as well. So we're very lucky. We've got Mason Hayes and Kearns who have supported us. Rockchop Partners in the US, which is a huge, massive asset management fund. They've got 10 billion under management. and Granite Digital and Aldus as well, the talent partners.
And that'll go to the winner. And if the winner, he, she, do they put the cash into their back pocket, or do they have to spend it on useful
Or pay
things?
themselves a nice chunky
Yeah,
wage. Yeah.
I think all of the companies we're going to start with 10 companies, and then we want to make sure that all of the companies, guys, are investor ready and on the investment path, because, it's just that they might be at different stages of their development. And sometimes, people with customer traction or, some good customer traction and even revenues might not emerge as the winner.
Yeah.
We're looking for the most innovative, the most, amazing prospective company as
Just
well.
on that, actually, because you'll start seeing, or you probably already are seeing, the different trends that people are kind of going after with AI. What are the current trends? Because if you're starting now, you're already probably behind. So what are the ones you're already seeing over the last couple of years, or the ones you might see coming?
I think the whole area of single truth of data for individuals in consumer products is going to be very big. So it's like really learning about what people want. For example, if you travel and you arrive in Paris, where you should eat, where you should go, what type, depending on what clothes you buy from all different data sources, what would be, the best thing for you to bring back for a present, that like one truth, single data. And I think as well now the abstraction and the machine learning around processes for insurtech and financial services, you might think, guys, that they're really far ahead. When we're on client calls, they do not even know that there is a solution available for this. So it's extremely disruptive. I would say loan review, financial services, the trends is that almost AI is going to replace the traders. You heard it here first, that there will be an AI right in the centre of a fund making decisions and predicting what to invest in, when to invest in it. For example, multifamily condos, what is the trends post-COVID behaviour? Who knows? Are all the baby boomers going to sell all of their apartments down in Miami? Are people going to live closer to home? Because if they get locked down again, will they be within their 2 kilometres? What are the true values for people where they will buy? I mean, people are fleeing from New York, but now they're going to New Jersey. And these are all trends and, predictive models that AI can assist with.
But do we want to hand it over? Do we want to hand the keys over?
The keys of what?
Well,
Our decision making?
Of yes.
I do when it comes to fashion and beauty products, because we all know that the influencer marketing is very biased, because the influencers are being paid to tell us what to wear and what cream to put on our faces. But I would like, for example, in the future to be able to look at an AI and like a face painting AI for makeup to say where I should put my concealer, where I should put my highlighter, what clothes I should wear. And I would like to get ready with an AI. So get ready with an AI. Tell me what to wear for Valentine's night. Tell me what to wear for a wedding. Sure, I'm up for it, Jamie.
Really?
Yeah.
I disagree with you. I don't think people are willing to hand over as much choice. And because I think we're already seeing, in terms of AI, we're already seeing confirmation bias coming in. Social media is a great one, because you keep looking at different pieces of content and it keeps serving up that same content, and you go down a rabbit hole. So I would have thought, playing devil's advocate here, that it's not the wisest thing to hand over all that data or all that choice.
I think that we've got pretty accustomed to wanting convenience, and a very good example is in everyday use is Google. Where would we be without Google?
But you're handing over. They're making money off you.
But I'm saying that we're very happy for them to make money off us because it's so convenient. And I love that it finishes my sentences for me. Do you ever press the tab button?
I don't use it. I use DuckDuckGo.
Okay, well, I guess that's a personal choice. But I think mass adoption of AI is here to stay for sure, 100%. It's here. We're ready for it.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that.
Do you what about Airbnb, for example? Do you trust that it's telling you where to go, where to stay based on, your preferences and where you've stayed previously? And that really suits. It's really in line with what I'm thinking. I think that it's here to stay. We're already adopting. We're already consuming it, and it's just going to be a massive explosion of it over the next 10 years. And I think that this is such an important program to nurture and have the adoption of our own homegrown AI as well as international rock stars. And we do have rock stars to announce. They'll be announced in the next couple of days. And next Thursday,
hang on a second now,
we have rock stars. I do have a rock star to announce.
But you can tell me now.
Oh, you want to know now? You want the scoop? Okay, cool.
He always wants the scoop.
You always want the scoop. So the scoop is that Sten Christensen's from Calibra. who's the CTO of Calibra, is going to be our resident and mentor, helping us select the applications, having one-to-one mentorship, judging panel, and support for the company afterwards. And also Linda Hogan from Trinity College, who's the head of their ethics, their whole ethics department, is coming behind this program strongly to make sure that we embed, like you're saying, Jamie, for the people that are, you know, a little bit still kind of like don't want to hand over the keys of the kingdom, to make sure that there's ethics and trustworthy AI embedded into the program when you're building an AI, because just like AI is a living thing, right? And that's why Mason, Hayes and Kearns are so passionate about this accelerator as well, because there's lots of ways to protect your AI. It's, you know, improving the improvements of your existing technology, and you'll have SMEs, they're called subject matter experts, not small to medium enterprises, telling you that it's their intellectual property. No, we're the SMEs. It's our AI. I'm saying, no, it's not your AI. So it's really beneficial having them on board to help the companies protect their intellectual properties while going forward. And look, I love the law, and that's why it's called the Alcessor, because in the old legal times, if you go back over the old case law, the Alcessor is called upon as the expert witness. So that's why we propose for the Alcessor.
I wouldn't want to become a lawyer now with this now. That's good. I think they're goose.
So, yeah, but they are goose because, well, some of them, yeah, because rather than getting 350 junior barristers in to do your due diligence, the AI will now do that for you.
And that will save you money as well. And saving money, I think we all like that, yeah?
Well, let's see if it gets passed on to us first, because let's start with the insurance guys first, which we all know I have a bee in my bonnet about. But let's start with them first and get the cost down.
Yes, yeah.
Now, one very last and important thing is there is a deadline.
There is. It's December 18th. So we have 2 more weeks to go. We do have an information session running next Thursday at 7 o'clock with our sponsors and our mentors for people to just come and ask questions to make sure that the program's right for them, and if they have any questions about what's involved. It's going to run for 5 months, which is great.
And where's the hub?
Time.
Sorry, where is it?
In Tangent, in Tangent, Trinity College Dublin. Yep. Yeah, and we'll hope to do, depending public policy health allows us, but hybrid, but at least 3 big events. We'll keep you updated on that, but we'll do like Scrum events and sprints as well around AI, where we will have like data scientists.
Scrums,
sprints. Exactly.
That's him.
Yeah, scrums.
Not you.
So the scrums, it's very tech scrums, and they do sprints as well, where after the weekend, then some of the models that they create over that weekend and can be, we'll also capture a lot of that for
from someone who has been around a lot of accelerator programs and currently studying through a hybrid through Trinity. I can speak highly. It works very well. The university does a great job.
There you go.
Yeah, no, we're delighted. Absolutely, very excited.
Will you come back to us when you have found your winner?
No, she'll send the AI.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right.
We'll send the Alcessor AI over.
Are we going to
There'll be a hologram that will pop up here.
The hologram, yeah, exactly. That would be cool.
Oh, this is not looking too good for us, is it? No.
We're goose.
I've actually going his way now, because I don't want to be done out of a job here. And you could, too easily.
I don't know, Colin. People would miss you too much. We missed you while you were gone.
Original.
There you go.
You see, Niamh loves me.
Well, I was here 3 years ago talking to you about...
well, not here, in another place.
Yeah, exactly, another place, exactly. So, yeah, shopping and style.
No, that's very... So, December 18th is deadline. Where can people find out more information?
Alcessorai.com.
A-L-S-E-S-S-O-R.
Alcessor, A-L-S-E, yeah. Alcessor. Yeah.
.com.
Guys, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
And thank you.
You're listening to That Great Business Show with Connell O'Moran and Jamie Heaslip. ThatGreatBusinessShow.com.
If you're enjoying ThatGreatBusinessShow.com, Ireland's best business podcast, please tell your friends and work colleagues about us and get them to subscribe. They can find us on Apple, Google, Spotify, etc., etc. And That Great Business Show is brought to you thanks to that great shaving oil company, De Facto. A €16 bottle of De Facto Sensitive should last for over 200 shaves for men and women. It's the best anyone can get. DeFactoShave.com.
That Great Business Show.
You may think that a bin is a bin is a bin, but not so. That's a great little company in Mayo called PEL or PEL Waste Reduction that I have to admit I had never heard of until De Facto owner, that's Tom Murphy, also based in Mayo, mentioned them to me because he said they were doing great things. I got on the phone to PEL. Is it PEL?
Yeah,
PEL?
PEL, yeah.
the boss there, who just heard, that's Tommy Griffith, and the story he told me was so good and so progressive that we said we'd have to have him right now to join Team GBS. So that's where he is right now with myself and Jamie, and you're very, very, very welcome, Tommy.
Thank you very much.
Let's start PEL, because I know that you can talk for Ireland yourself. And we also had Donald Byrne from Mayo.
Yeah, good friend of mine.
Is there something in the water or something over there? You talk a lot.
Yeah, when we get out of the pram, straight away we start talking. So they said, hold on, these are business people.
That's why they don't win. That's why they don't win Sam. They're all just talking. It's all talk.
So tell us, PEL, why PEL? What is PEL?
Yeah, PEL stood for Paramount Equipment Limited, Quality Equipment Limited. I started the business in 2005. Initially, we set about developing products for reducing glass waste. So if you go into a lot of the pubs, hotels, restaurants around Dublin or anywhere in Ireland, you will see, in under the bar, you'll see a product called Baby Jaws. And Baby Jaws is a product that we developed. We have a world patent on it. It reduces glass volume at source by 80%. So,
Did you invent that?
I invented that.
What's your training?
So I'd be a farmer initially and then a mechanical engineer.
So how the hell did you go, I'm going to get this behind bars?
Yeah,
Because
so-
I'm guessing you would have been on the other side, not the side behind it.
In college life, of course, we're in and out of bars, nightclubs, bottles were everywhere. There was bins of bottles being pushed around the place. I set about, I suppose, coming from an agricultural background. Initially, I worked as an engineer and then as a sales rep for an agricultural engineering company. I worked in the UK market. I looked for opportunity that I could start a business that wouldn't be competing in the agricultural market or that a market that was saturated enough. So waste was a talking point at the time. Talking to a couple of nightclub owners, they showed me bundles of bottles at the back, and I said, look, we can develop a product for that. So we developed a product for reducing glass waste. From there, we developed a range of products. So when we went into hotels, pubs and restaurants, we looked at what else they were creating. So cardboard and plastic. We'll reduce their cardboard and plastic by 80% and turn it from a waste into a product. We'll reduce their general waste, their recycling waste, as well by up to 80%. So we've been selling these products around Ireland. From our factory in Mayo, we have an office based in North London. So we cover the UK market out of there. And we've seen products as far as the United States, Australia.
So when you say reduce waste, are you reducing, let's say, take a bottle?
Correct.
Like a bottle is a certain volume, but you can obviously, in that there's a lot of air,
correct.
and you're crushing it down. So are you reducing the space?
We reduce the space. If we take the bottle that goes into our machines, not only are we just breaking the glass, we're producing a cullet. And the cullet that we produce is above 8 millimetres. So
That's a brand new word to me, a cullet.
What the hell is a cullet?
it's a broken glass. Broken glass in a cullet format is recyclable. So all the glass that we crush at source can go straight for reprocessing. So it's actually cheaper to take this cullet, remelt it, and develop it back into bottles than it is to actually take a bottle from the bar that was used, transport it back, sterilise it, clean it, and try and put it back into reuse. So we go for recycling the glass rather than reusing the glass. Okay,
I get you. It's obviously easier to transport it when it's crushed down.
You're reducing your trucks, you're reducing your carbon emissions, you're reducing everything from the guy behind the bar is staying behind the bar. Here in Dublin, there's a good friend of mine, Oliver Hughes. You might have remember Hugh, the Porterhouse Group.
Yep.
And initially, when we put in the machines with Oliver, I said, Oliver, tell me, what's it doing for you? He said, Tommy, when we put in your machines, at the end of the night, we spend 2 hours sorting out bottles.
I remember.
He says, now we
Clatter, yeah.
leave. When the guys put the boxes out, they're
That's
done.
a cost save
Yeah,
straight
cost save.
away.
He said, before at Christmas time, he said, I used to have to get a Jeep and trailer myself and go in and sort out bottles to have enough storage space.
One of my first jobs ever, Soundhouse in Johnstown Inn, was sorting bottles out the back.
Yeah, so
He's just put you out of business.
that's what it was. So glass
That's why I
waste.
went off and had to buy the pubs.
So now you need it for all your pubs should have Baby Jaws in it.
Yeah, now I'm going, why don't we have
Why
it?
don't you? Yeah, absolutely. Every pub, every bar, every restaurant.
So
should
I
have a
get it with the
product.
glass, right? So talk to me about how you're reducing the other types of waste.
So from there, we developed a range of other products. We sell them around the world. We supply a lot of product into Tesco's here in Ireland. So at the back of Tesco sites, they
you
have...
need a cardboard crusher, guys.
We do them, yeah, absolutely. So in the back...
told you this is brilliant.
In the back of Tesco's
And
also...
there's more.
Did a lot of bins, right? So in these bins, they're 1,100 litre bins. So space is an issue. And also, because they're a food company, the lids have to be closed. So we put in products that lifts the bin off the ground and it squeezes the waste into the bins. So we get 3 bins into one. So we reduced their volume again by 66%. Some of the sites that they had, the waste area was to the other side of the site. So they had no power supply. So we developed to be able to run our products through solar power.
And that's some achievement in Ireland.
Yeah, some achievement. In Ireland, Dublin to Mayo, in Dublin you have a 30% better daylight factor than in Mayo.
Do you really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that why they win, Sam, more than you guys?
Well, you see, look at hopefully coming into winter, we're definitely going to win, because when we're used to playing in the wet weather of Mayo, when we come up here and it's teeming rain in December, the Dublin lads won't be used to it. So we're hoping for wet weather.
And you have a thing called the Bright Bin.
So from there, we figured out, I said, hold on, if we're fit to develop a product to do this with commercial bins on these sites, we can now go after the street waste. So we set about taking the technology that we developed over the last 10 years, bringing it all together and developing what we've trademarked Solar Street Bin. So now on the streets, if you go through Fingal, Howth, Malahide, you will see solar street bins. These solar street bins are non-touch. So the pedal, you press the pedal, a flap opens, the litter goes into the bin. The bin is powered by solar. It automatically compacts the waste. So from a standard bin, we get 10 times the volume of a street bin.
How often is it doing it?
It's automatic.
So it's compressing automatically?
So as the bin fills, once the bin gets to 80%, it compacts it.
Wow.
So we've triggered that once it hits 80%, it compacts. It will keep doing that until the bin is full. At any stage, then we've developed software. We call it Bright Bin. Bright as in intelligent and bright as in light. So our software, they can log on. They can see their total fleet of bin in their locations. They can see it going from green, amber, red.
Yeah.
They can see the percentage fill level at any time. They can see exactly who's using the bin, or not who's using the bin, but how many times the bin has been used. So we know now that bins in certain areas are busy.
So you know the peak times?
Peak times, non-peak times, all that good stuff.
And then do you... Sorry, maybe when you're about to say this, does your software give a route map for them to kind of go
when they log on
efficient?
So I suppose from our software point of view, first of all, you have the administrator. So inside the council, there's someone that's going to be the administrator. Then you have the drivers, the guys that are on the ground. So the guys on the ground, they have an app. They can log on to their app. They can hit find and it'll bring them to a bin, but we can filter. So now they're only going to the bins that are above a certain level. So rather than emptying bins, whether they're 110% full or 10% full, they're only emptying the ones that are 90% plus.
And then you can, I'm guessing, sorry, where that goes is off the data. You know the trends. So you know when some bins are like, it might be nearly full, but you know that like, I don't know. It
predicts.
It's not going to be that busy for another day or two. So actually you're good.
Absolutely. Correct.
So that must cut down even more costs.
So look, it's creating an efficiency. So our Bright Bin software with our compacting bins creates an efficiency. So now we're reducing the number of trucks on the road. We're reducing the emissions associated with them. And remember, when trucks go emptying, if we take Galway city centre, they were emptying the bins 3 to 5 times on Shop Street through the day. So they now have to go down to a pedestrianised street, try and empty bins, interfere with the general public. We put in our bins. They're now down to every second day. They go in at 6 o'clock in the morning, they drive through, they empty their bins, and they're done.
And is this all, have you got patents over all this?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. So we've already bins in Mayo, Galway, Fingal.
What about
Louth?
the rest of the world?
London.
Hang on a second, Amos. This is the kind of the big reveal moment.
Yeah.
Tell them the story about the email.
Brilliant.
So look at, we've bins in Oslo. First of all, if I go to start going around the world, we've Oslo, Croatia, Tel Aviv, Israel, San Francisco. If you go around Union Square, you'll see our bins around Union Square. We've bins.
The baddies, huh?
Other foreign Poland.
The cute Mayo feckers.
There's more. The email that you got.
So look, we just won a tender actually with the US military,
Wow.
right? And that resurrected during the initial total lockdown period back in March. And initially I thought it was a spam email.
That's what my mind started going this. I get county councils and that, but like places like a base or
Correct.
big facilities.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a big cost as well.
Well, it's a huge cost. Well, there's two things. One is COVID is there at the moment. So our bins are sealed. So birds cannot pull out the waste. Cats cannot pull out the waste. In an air base, the biggest problem is birds, right? So with our bins,
keep them out.
We're keeping the birds out of the bins. So therefore, they're not coming in initially to pull the waste out of the bins. So you're reducing the risk. If we take the streets, again, Howth, Malahide, when they put in our bins, they said cigarette butts. There was no more cigarette butts on the ground. There was no more litter on the ground. They thought it was people that was leaving the litter on the ground. It wasn't. The seagulls come in at 5, 6 in the morning and they pull all the litter out of the bins.
Yeah.
whereas with our bins, they cannot.
I'm going to ask you for the third time to tell me about, tell Jamie about this famous email, because there's a lesson for all businesses.
Look, we're talking about that one in relation to back in March. As I say, Kevin sent me on an email. He said, "Look, do you want to go back to these guys? It could be a spam email." But look,
we've been promised millions from
all that
Africa or something.
Yeah, and well, not from Africa, but the US. So I said, "Look, I shall go back." So I sent a 2-liner back. I said, "Look, yes, absolutely. Here's the price." I said, "If you want to do a call, I'll do one with you in next 10 minutes." Next thing, email back, absolutely. So next time we did a video call. Next thing I said, "Hold on, these guys are actually real. It's the US military."
Did they have the whole get up on?
Yeah, they were ready. They were talking with us. Yeah, right in front of it. So that started a conversation.
What was the due diligence like to get through that?
Huge. The due diligence was huge. We've been, I suppose, one thing. In a lot of ways,
did you ring up Joe Biden and go, "Here, Joe"?
No, we didn't have to do that at all. Once he saw our great personalities in the West of Ireland, and he said, "Hold on, we can relate to these guys."
Does Joe Biden have these in the White House, or will he?
He will have. Definitely. But it goes to show you, from a business point of view, you can take anything for granted on an email that's coming in.
Yeah.
I suppose we've changed the way. Last year, I used to travel every week or every second week. I'd be out of the country a couple of days at a time. Since COVID came, I haven't been out of the country since about the 5th of March. So now we've developed a training room. So we've moved into a brand new factory in the last couple of months. We've new offices, so we've plenty of space for social distancing for our staff. But everything is on Teams, Zoom. We've a special room designed for, like here, a studio, where we can do live demonstrations, live calls, show them the products, whether it's a glass crusher or whether it's a solar street bin. It's getting the product. Once people see the product, whether it's a bottle crusher or whether it's a solar street bin, see it, nearly feel it, touch it, they can see what it does. So they can see why it will keep our streets cleaner. I suppose the other big thing that we're talking about at the moment, and back in January, was single-use plastics. Well, if you're emptying a bin 10 times a day, you're using 10 different bags. Whereas if you're emptying the bin with our unit, first of all, inside our solar street bin, we have a standard wheelie bin. So either it's a 120, 240 or a 360. So that can be emptied by the standard cum truck that we see that's emptying household waste. So now we don't need a bag at all. So you're getting rid of a single-use bag. Or if they do want a bag, they can have a bag in it. So we're ticking a lot of boxes. It's not just a bin on the street anymore. This is a valuable piece of real estate. So
and data. Really good data.
So we have
points.
bins on streets that we're getting the data from it. And if they're renting it, we have that footprint.
And you said that you have an office in North London.
Yes, absolutely.
But you also told me that Brexit, you're turning it down big time in the UK.
Yeah, look, Brexit has gone off the radar for a lot of business. It's not going away. We're only, I suppose, 2.5 working weeks left to Christmas and this year. There's still no deal done. From our point of view, from a components point of view, we have been, I suppose, 2 years ago, starting to source further afield, whether it's in Europe for components away from the UK market for that reason. Every other company, I suppose, has done it. You're trying to protect yourself. We set up a company in Britain for that reason because of Brexit coming along. So we've PEL UK Rentals is a company that I own. That's to have ourselves ready that if there is a crash out, we will still be able to trade. Every company out there there's no blueprint on what's perfect in relation to Brexit. However, you have to try and protect yourself. Every business owner, no one protects your own money better than you protect it yourself, I suppose, at the end of the day. So you have to make your own decisions and look at what's the best for your business on that side. So it's going to be interesting. Look at come January the 1st, we have enough components in to keep us going till, and there was coming out of the UK. We've increased our stocks to keep us going to probably May, June of next year.
Necessity is the mother of all invention. And look, you're kind of, you've got a foot in each camp.
Correct.
You're as prepared as you can be.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, we kind of see where the cards fall. But in terms of the business, I have no doubt in this. So I want to see Mayo for Sam. I want to see Joe Biden with these bins in the White House. What do you want to see?
Every bin you'll see will be green and red. I want to see our bins. Look at the pride we get. When I see a guy sent me a text yesterday evening from the States, and he's telling me where they're living out there. He said, "Is this your bin?" I said, "Of course it's our bin." Look at it's pride in the product. It's pride in where we came from. We manufacture in rural Ireland, so anywhere you're creating a business that's touching the outskirts of Ireland or different areas of Ireland, you're bringing every product. If it's only a biro we're sending out abroad, it's bringing revenue into this country. Yep. So every bin we send out, or every bottle crusher, or every baler, or every bin compactor, we're bringing revenue in. For any company to survive, you have to have exports. We love it. We love what we do. We have a good team around us. And the world is an oyster.
Will you give us a discount in the bar?
Absolutely. What we'll do actually for you can have one for €25 a week. You can have a unit. You don't even have to own it. We look after all maintenance. We look after the warranty.
He's always on the take. I'm on the give. I'm going to bring you to Connecticut because I'm sure that we can get you business in Connecticut. Absolutely. With the Ireland Connecticut Business Council as well. Well, I mean, you're already in there across the state, so fantastic. It's an incredible business.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'm delighted that Tom Murphy told me about you.
Yeah,
and congratulations.
You. And thank you very much for having me here and let me share our story.
Well, that's Tommy Griffith of
PEL.
PEL. Never know whether it's called PEL or PEL. And that is it from That Great Business Show. And thanks to our sound engineers here at the Dublin South FM podcast studios. They are Alison O'Dwyer and Peter Rice, making a pig's ear sound more like a silk purse. I think that's good. The runaway winner of the most helpful person on the planet this week is Jessica Kenny at the Wicklow Leo, who gave us 2 superb leads, one of them being the Brady's Coffee, and we'll have another one on the show very shortly, which reminds me, if you want a company to feature on That Great Business Show, go to our website, and right at the bottom we have a Share Your Story button. You'll get all of the details there of what we're looking for in great businesses to feature right there. And finally, as usual, we leave the last word to Jamie.